All right, I'm just going to start in a few seconds. All right, so if everyone can make sure that they're muted, that would be great. So welcome everyone to our Rapid Response Live event. My name is Kiana Walton. I'm with the Consumer Education and Advocacy Unit of the Maryland Insurance Administration. And today we're going to have some scenarios in reference to some of the complaints or issues that have come up during our rapid response program for homeowners. I'm going to introduce the team to you as well as what is the actual rapid response program and give you different scenarios to some of the homeowners insurance situations that they have experienced or come across while helping consumers in Maryland. I will read the scenarios while a member of the rapid response team will give you the solution to the scenarios. Before we start, I just have some housekeeping rules to have you follow for today. Again, this event will be recorded. After the introduction, I will go through several scripted rapid response scenarios. During the program, when you have questions, please utilize the chat box. After the program, we will open it up for your questions, starting with those that have already been submitted in the chat. And once we open the Q&A, so that will be done by my coworker, Patricia Dorn. Please continue to stay muted and continue to use the chat box to ask questions. After the Q&A, breakout rooms will be available. If anyone would like to discuss any specific problems, questions, or concerns one-on-one with one of our team members from the Rapid Response Program. I will ask after the Q&A if anyone needs to talk one-on-one with a Rapid Response member. So let me introduce our team members from the Rapid Response Program, Mrs. Mary Jo Rogers and Mrs. Cheryl Coons. They are our Rapid Response team, and they are available to help consumers with property and casualty issues, whether it is to help consumers resolve claims quickly without having to file a formal written complaint, or just to make sure consumers are more aware of Maryland law and the language in the policies to better understand why a claim was not paid. The Rapid Response Programs puts individuals who are having difficulty resolving a claim in touch with special representatives at a participating company in an effort to help problems be resolved directly and quickly. Participation in the Rapid Response Program is voluntary and does not affect the consumer's right to file a formal complaint. So we're going to start off by me giving you some scenarios, and one of the team members will follow up with a response. So a severe storm has struck Baltimore County on July 4th, 2020. The storm included extremely high winds and torrential rain. Many homes had wind damage, and some also experienced flooding. Several communities reported that they had sewage in their homes. Also, one community had a water main break, which caused flooding to a number of homes. While Baltimore County had the most severe damage, other portions of the state also experienced damage. The following scenarios represent some of the types of issues the MIA would assist consumers with after the type of storm. So Steve and Barb basement flooded in the storm. They filed a claim with their insurer, but coverage was denied. They purchased water and sewer backup coverage. So why was their claim denied, Cheryl?
Well, the first question is how did the water get into the basement? Water and sewer backup coverage provides coverage when water enters or backs up through plumbing fixtures such as a sump pump, toilet, or interior drains. If the water seeps in through the foundation, it's no longer covered under water sewer backup coverage as it's considered surface water. So it's not covered under a standard homeowner's policy.
So if Steve and Barb say that most of the water came up through their sump pump and only a slight amount seeped through the walls, and the insurer is still denying any coverage, why would that be?
Well, most homeowner policies have an exclusion. It's for something it's called caused by concurrent causation. And that means if there's a loss and it has caused by two different things, one being a covered peril and one being excluded peril, they may deny the entire claim. The reason for this is because it may be difficult to differentiate between the coverage damage and the damage that is not covered.
So the next scenario, Tom and Annie suffered damage when sewage backed up into their finished basement. They immediately called a mitigation company who responded to their home to clean up the sewage. The carpeting, the furnishing, and the items in their storage area were ruined. The sewage also got into their HVAC system that now needs replacement. The mitigation company also cut out some of the drywall. The insurer told them because they only had 5,000 in water sewer backup coverage, that is all they would be paying for in this claim. They acknowledge that is the amount of coverage they purchased for water sewer backup coverage, but their understanding is if for mitigation costs and the dwelling and content coverage would apply for the additional damages. Mary Jo, why did this occur?
Unfortunately, in this instance, the insurer only owes the $5,000 for all the damages. This includes the mitigation costs, the dwelling repairs, cost of damaged contents, including the HVAC unit. The terms of the policy limit the amount of payment for the entire claim to the amount of coverage purchased. Dwelling and contents coverage does not apply to this loss. Under Maryland law, however, a homeowner may purchase an amount of coverage up to the amount the home is insured for. That is the coverage A, as shown on their declaration page of their policy.
So we have another scenario. James and Susan's house was flooded when there was a water main break on their street. Their basement and everything in it was destroyed. Their homeowner's insurance has denied their claim, saying this was a flood and flood damage is not covered. They do not feel this is a flood and don't understand why it has been denied. They do not live in a flood zone and don't know if they could have been in a had or could didn't know that they could buy flood insurance. Cheryl, what is the issue with this?
Well, flood is defined as an inundation of water to two or more adjacent properties or two or more contiguous acres of normal dry land from any source. This would include water main breaks, swimming pools, heavy rains that the storm drains in the streets are unable to handle, and allow the water to seep in or flood into the building. So, homeowners insurance policies do not cover losses from water that leaks or seeps into the house from the outside. So ground or surface water is generally not covered. And this loss would meet the definition of flooding. Two adjacent properties were inundated by water. In this case, the street and then James and Susan's house would qualify as two properties. So most people in Maryland can purchase flood insurance whether or not they reside in a high-risk flood area. If they have purchased flood insurance, they would have had coverage to mitigate the water damage in their basement and money to repair or replace certain items needed to service their home, such as their furnace or hot water heater. Unfortunately, other items in the basement, such as their personal belongings, are not covered by flood insurance, even if they had purchased both dwelling and contents coverage.
So about a week after the storm, a roofer knocked on Frank and Helen's door. The roofer told them that he could see extensive damage to their roof. He further advised that their homeowner's insurance would pay to replace their roof and that all of their neighbors' insurers were paying to replace their roofs. He suggested they file a claim with their insurer and tried to get them to sign a contract for him to do the work. He said that since he was working in the area, he could offer to pay the deductible for them so they would have no out-of-pocket costs. Should they sign the contract, Mary Jo?
No, they should check several things before signing a contract, such as is the roofer licensed by the state of Maryland under the Maryland Home Improvement Commission, MHIC? They may also want to wait to see exactly what their insurer is going to pay, if anything. If they sign the contract and their insurer either denies their claim or only offers to pay to repair rather than replace the roof, they could be on the hook for the whole cost.
So Frank and Helen did not sign the contract and took the roofer's business card, saying they would get back to him after speaking with their insurer. They filed a claim, and an adjuster came out to their home and completed an inspection. He confirmed there was wind damage, but said it only involved 10 shingles. He would only authorize to repair those 10 shingles. Doesn't the insurer owe to replace the roof, Mary Jo?
No, the insurer only owes to repair the damage, not replace the roof.
So they called the roofer and explained that their insurer would only pay to replace the missing shingles. The roofer then told them this was illegal, that payment must be issued to replace the entire roof. First, he would be unable to match the current shingles, so there would be a mismatch that would impact the value of the home. Secondly, the shingles on the roof were badly worn and the entire roof was in need of replacement. If we tried to just repair the roof, it would cause damage to the adjacent shingles. And thirdly, if they pressured their insurer, they would pay to replace the whole roof because all of their neighbors were getting new roofs. He again urged them to sign the contract and allow him to start the repairs before the roof gets worse. They are wondering if they should follow his advice. What do you think, Mary Jo?
The roofer is incorrect. It is not illegal to only pay to repair a roof. Unless they have purchased for an additional premium roof replacement coverage, the insurer does not owe for mismatch. Additionally, if the roof needs to be replaced due to wear and tear, the insurer does not owe for that cost. The need to replace a worn out roof is maintenance and not a sudden peril, and therefore is not covered by a homeowner's policy. Also, the neighbor's damages may differ from Frank and Helen's. It may be more extensive, or their neighbors may have additional or different coverage. They may want to get us another opinion from a different roofer as to the extent of the damages.
So Frank and Helen have $1,000 deductible and would like to use this roofer because he will waive their deductible. Is it okay for him to do that, Mary Jo?
No, he may not do that. The homeowner owes their share of the cost of the repair, that is the deductible, and the insurer owes for the remainder as estimated. It is not legal.
So another thing the rapid response also does is we help consumers with claims not related to disaster. So here is an example of one. Nancy was in her laundry room, which is below her kitchen, and noticed water stains and dampness on the ceiling. When she went upstairs and after checking behind her refrigerator, she found that the water line going to her ice maker had a pinhole leak. There was extensive water damage and mold. She immediately called her insurer and filed a claim. An adjuster came out and looked at the damage and advised that this was not covered and that her claim was being denied because it was an ongoing leak and not sudden, even though she reported it as soon as she found out. Wouldn't that be sudden, Cheryl?
Well, the denial is proper. Homeowners insurance policies cover sudden, unexpected perils, not ongoing losses, even if it's hidden and unknown to the homeowner. In this case, the denial is proper. The homeowners insurance policies cover sudden, unexpected perils, not ongoing losses, even if hidden and unknown to the homeowner. In this case, it was clear that the leak was long-term and ongoing because of the amount of damage, wet, rot, and mold. Coverage applies to sudden one-time water loss. The toilet that overflows and floods the house or the ceiling below, or the hot water heater that goes up and empties, 50 gallons of water into the house at once, for example. Pipes behind the wall, leaky shower pans, water lines to refrigerators that have been leaking for weeks or months are deemed maintenance issues and not sudden perils and are not covered under the policy.
And now we're going to take some questions in the chat box. And that's going to be held by my coworker, Patricia Dorn.
Hi, everyone. My name is Patty Dorn, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with the Q&A. And so the first question that I have is I guess we'll start with Mary Jo. If you're living in an area where a lot of the houses have water pipe damages to the point of having your lawn dug up, who helps pay for the damage?
Generally, that is not going to be covered by your homeowner's insurance. That's a maintenance issue, and that there's no homeowner's insurance coverage that is going to cover that. There's a couple places, and it depends on your personal situation. Some people purchase waterline coverage. That's kind of like a warranty, like a home warranty people buy to cover their appliances. So some people do buy those waterline warranty coverages to replace that. If you live in a condominium, your home is a condominium, and those pipes, those leaky water lines coming into your home are on what's called common owned parts of the property, then your condominium association may owe for that. But if you are a private homeowner and you have not purchased specific warranty or maintenance coverage for those water lines, there is not going to be any coverage. It's an maintenance expense, unfortunately.
Thanks, Mary Jo. I'm going to keep you for the next one because you're referenced in it. So you mentioned that contents damaged in a flood would not be covered by flood insurance. So does the content coverage in the homeowner's policy cover these contents?
No, unfortunately, if it's a flooding situation, there is no coverage under a standard homeowner's policy for flood damage, not to the dwelling, not to the contents. If you purchase flood insurance, and flood insurance is purchased in two forms. You buy dwelling coverage, which is the flood insurance coverage that covers your dwelling, the house, the structure. And then a second policy that you purchase would be for contents. It's not like a homeowner's policy where it's a package policy. Now, flood insurance, standard flood insurance, which is purchased through the National Flood Insurance Program with FEMA, does not provide coverage for contents in a basement. Now, if it's your home is either built on a slab or the flooding is so severe that it reaches up to the first floor above the basement level, then there's coverage for contents. But the standard flood insurance policy is only going to cover for things in the basement needed to service the home, such as furnace, hot water heater, water softeners, those types of items, but no personal belongings, contents, betterments. So if you turned your basement into a lovely family room with carpeting or hardwood floors and furnishings, it's not covered. And that's how the flood insurance policies are written. That's a federal program. You can speak. There are a few companies. I'd suggest talking to a producer. It's an agent or a broker to see if you can buy some additional flood insurance coverages. But generally, no. The standard regular flood insurance policy is just not going to cover contents in a basement. But it will cover contents in any floors above a basement level, as long as that area where those contents are is not below grade on all sides.
Thanks, Mary Jo. Cheryl, this next question is going to be for you. Are insurance companies required to provide a copy of an insurance policy that a customer is interested in purchasing before the customer actually purchases the policy. My State Farm agent is telling me that the policy document is not available after it has been purchased. As with any product, I would like to see exactly what I am purchasing before I purchase it.
So it's not required for the agent to provide a full copy of a policy prior to the purchase of the policy. If there's something specific that he or she is inquiring about, then the agent can provide that document. But typically, it's not provided until the policy is purchased.
Thanks,
There's
Cheryl.
not a law, it's not required.
Thanks. All right. My next question back to you, Mary Jo. I have been with the same insurance company for 45 years and have never made an homeowner's claim. My insurance rate goes up every year. This year, $340. I would like to find a new insurance company. What is the best way to choose an insurance company? We have our auto and home insurance together.
Certainly can shop around for insurance. One of the places to start, I recommend, is to visit our website. We have a lot of information, not only to explain homeowners insurance, auto insurance, but we have tips for when you are shopping for those coverages. Additionally, we have a rate comparison guide for both homeowners and auto insurance. It compares approximately 50 companies in sample scenarios. So you go to the guide, find the scenario that closest matches your personal situation, and then it will be broken down by zip codes or counties. So you find your county, the scenario that closely matches yours, and then it'll give you rates and compare. So you're comparing apples to apples. It won't be an exact quote, but it'll give you a starting point. And those rate comparison guides, also in the back of the guides, provides the websites, 800 numbers, etc., for the companies. So you can narrow it down to a couple of companies that you think you might be interested in, and then call them to get the exact quotes.
Thanks, Mary Jo. I'm going to say this next question could be for either of you. The homeowner's policy that comes through WSSC for interior plumbing, should we buy that insurance, or does the homeowner's insurance policy?
You want that one, Mary Jo?
I can speak to that. WSSC is the water company, basically. It's the Washington Sewer, and I don't know what all it stands for. What they're selling, when I talked earlier about the water lines, and if you bought a warranty to cover the pipes, that's basically what you're buying. It's coverage to repair or replace the pipes. If you have a water loss in your home, so let's say a pipe bursts in your home, it is that sudden pipe burst, and it is covered. Your homeowner's insurance company is not going to pay the cost of the plumber to fix the pipe. They're going to pay for the damages that the water caused. So what you're purchasing from WSSC is like a warranty, like maintenance plan for your pipes and your water lines to cover. So without seeing it, my guess is it's not going to cover any of the damages that water, if the pipe burst or leaked, it's not going to cover the damages. It's going to cover your plumbing costs. And that's something different than insurance. That's again, like a type of warranty covering your pipes, like a homeowner's, like an appliance, like if you bought a homeowner's warranty to cover your appliances. It's something similar.
Thanks, Mary Jo. Cheryl, is there any specialized insurance for contents in a basement?
Specialized for in a basement, it's not specific to a basement, no. And as Mary Jo had pointed out, for flood insurance, there is no coverage for contents in a basement, but a typical homeowner policy would cover contents throughout the home.
Thanks. And so, Mary Jo, what is the benefit of a homeowner's policy?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, if you have a mortgage, your mortgage company, your lender is going to require that you have a homeowner's policy. If you do not, the mortgage company will go out and purchase what's called force-placed or lender-placed homeowners insurance. Now, these policies can be very expensive. They're going to add that cost to your mortgage. So you are going to be the one paying it. Your lender won't pay it. Your lender becomes the insured, the policy holder. So if there is a loss, you are not the policy holder, it is the lender. Oftentimes, these force-placed policies don't provide you coverage for your contents, and they don't provide you coverage for something called liability. So let's say someone comes onto your home, they get injured and either want their medical bills paid or they sue you. You would have no coverage to provide you with an attorney or to pay any judgments against you. Now, if your home is paid for, you no longer have a mortgage, you technically, yes, you could cancel your homeowner's insurance and save yourself several $100s a year, maybe as much as $1,000, $1,200 a year. It depends on the costs. But I'll give you a real quick story. Probably the prettiest little house in my neighborhood. They're an older couple. They're on fixed income. They paid off their mortgage. They dropped their homeowner's insurance, and one Saturday morning, they went to the grocery store. Well, they had emptied out the ashes out of their fireplace, thought they'd put them out in their sunroom, their little enclosed back porch. And all of a sudden I heard lots and lots of sirens. Nobody was in the house. The house basically burned to the ground. There were some walls left. And talking to them, they just never had filed a claim in years of living there, and they had to go get a mortgage and start all over. And they were out of their home for over 3 years. Nobody paid for their apartment. She said it really financially was a horrible, horrible impact on them. And her husband had to go out and find a little part-time job to make ends meet because they just had a mortgage that they had thought was paid off. So it can be a personal decision if you don't have a mortgage. If you have a mortgage, you're going to have homeowners insurance.
Thanks, Mary Jo. Cheryl, does a homeowner's policy cover the dwelling if I move out of my home and decide to rent it out? What if it takes me a while to find tenants and it is vacant for some period of months? Does that affect the validity of the homeowners?
So it's the policy language is going to be specific if you're renting your home. It's a different type of policy. Some policies, if the home is vacant for over a 30-day period of time and there's a loss, there could be limited or no coverage. So they would need to speak to their producer about a dwelling policy or landlord policy once they have obtained tenants. But it's going to be specific to the language of the policy if there's a loss during that period of time.
Thanks, Cheryl. One second. All right, we have Mary Jo, more of a comment than a question. I'm a 63-year-old homeowner who needs flood insurance along with homeowners insurance.
There's a couple of places you can go. A lot of insurance companies. So I would start with your own insurance company or agent. There is something called the WYO program, and that stands for Write Your Own. And what that means is your insurance company. So you're with ABC Insurance Company, and ABC Insurance Company participates in the WYO program with the National Flood Insurance Program, FEMA. So they will go ahead and place your flood insurance, but you're actually being insured by the NFIP. because they're writing their own customers into that flood program. If your producer, agent, or insurance company is not participating, you've got a couple of options. I would suggest visiting the website floodsmart.gov, GOV. That's the website for the National Flood Insurance Program. You can purchase it directly, or you can put in your zip code and it will identify agents and producers in your area that will help you obtain flood insurance. If you still have questions, again, visit our website. We've got additional information about flood insurance, how to get up flood insurance, what it covers, etc. So there's additional information on our website as well, but that website, floodsmart.gov, is a good place to start as well.
Thanks, Mary Jo. Cheryl, what is the recourse for a flood caused by a water main burst on the city side?
Well, if there is a water main burst in the city, it's possible that the city may have recourse to make repairs. It's going to depend on what the actual cause of the burst was. We've seen a lot of losses in the city that or drain losses that it's not as a result of negligence, so to speak, but the water lines become overwhelmed in the city. But that can happen in the county as well.
Thanks. All right, Mary Jo, I think this has been covered, but I'm just going to go ahead and read the comment as it is. So you can repeat it, I guess. So confirming that even if there is flood damage, your homeowner's policy should cover personal contents damaged by the flood.
No, it will not. Your personal homeowner's policy will not provide coverage for anything in the event of a flood. If water comes into your home from outside, from any source, your homeowner's policy will provide no coverages for anything, not contents, not your home, the dwelling. It will not provide, if your home is uninhabitable because it's been damaged, it will not provide you with additional living expenses. Your homeowner's policy, your personal homeowner's policy, covers nothing in the event of a flood.
All right, thanks for clarifying that, Mary Jo. So back to you, Cheryl. I bought my house and within 4 months of purchase had flood and a roof leak. My insurance wouldn't cover the repairs or damage. What can I do?
Well, first, we can certainly look at that for you through our rapid response program by filing a complaint. Every situation and scenario is going to be different. So as far as a roof damage, we'd have to see how did the water get in, or what was the roof damage? Was it something that was long-term wear and tear, or was it something that was determined to be as a result of a covered peril being wind, hail, such as that. As far as flood, then that, as Mary Jo was just explaining, flood would be addressed completely different. And is it in fact a flood, or was it how did the water get into the property? I would suggest that consumer reach out through the rapid response program, and we can certainly review the claim for both flood or it may be flood to determine if it was flood, and also the roof damages. We can certainly reach out to the insurance company as long as they're a participant of the rapid program.
Thanks. Mary Jo, previously the interpretation for exterior damages in dealing with repair of discontinued materials was unless specified in the policy, and an option for coverage was offered, the match was implied. Is that not the case anymore?
I'm not sure what that is in reference to. Mismatch is not covered generally by an insurance policy, not for roofing shingles, not for siding, in interior losses, such as, say, there's a water loss in the kitchen and the bottom cabinetry is damaged to the point where it needs to be replaced. The insurance company doesn't owe uppers and lowers. They owe for what is damaged. So if it's, as in the scenario, there were 10 shingles damaged and they can't be matched appropriately, they don't owe for that mismatch unless the homeowner has purchased additional coverages.
Thanks, Mary Jo. Cheryl, the homeowners association said that they know there are problems that the builder knew about, but we can't sue because of the ages of the homes. Is this correct? I was told by a homeowner that the builder paid some of the original homeowners to correct the problem, but they didn't. They just moved out. I'm talking about the materials/pipes used.
So if there were materials put into homes that were defective or something like that, and I think that's kind of where they're headed, um, this is not something that would be the responsibility of an insurer. Um, I can't address specific to what that's about, but I do know that there was some cases years ago where there was defective material used, and there was actually a class action suit. But it's not an insurance issue. Uh, as far as the builder paying the homeowners, again, that's not an insurance. That would be a contract between the builder and the homeowner.
Thanks, Cheryl. So, Mary Jo, I have the question. So, do you buy extra flood insurance? She is possibly talking about flood insurance above and beyond the NFIP program.
There are a few companies that you can purchase additional coverages to kind of go on top of your flood insurance. There's not too many companies that offer it. You could check our website, but because there's a monetary limit on the amount of coverage the flood insurance policy provides. So I think it's 250,000 for the building. So if you've got a $500,000 home, flood insurance is very different than homeowner's insurance. So the maximum amount that you can purchase is 250,000. Your home is washed away by a flood. The flood insurance policy is going to pay $250,000 and you had a $500,000 home. There are a few companies that will sell you an additional. So say you've got that $500,000 home, you get 250 with the flood insurance, the NFIP, and then you purchase additional 250,000 from a private insurer. Not all do it. There's only a small number. You can give our office a call or look at our website if you're looking for that. But generally that is the flood insurance is going to be the underlying policy. That's going to be what's called the primary policy.
Thanks, Mary Jo. And I hope that answered your question, Anita. And if it didn't, please just put another question or rephrase it in the chat so I can get your actual question answered if that wasn't it. Another question, and this is back to Cheryl. How do you reconcile, and then in quotes, of like, kind, and quality?
Well, that's a broad question. And if we're talking about an auto, then it would be a replacement part on an auto. Instead of a new part, it may be a used part, but it would have to be of like, kind, and quality, offering the same warranties, and so on. So I'm not sure if that answers the question. As far as a homeowner claim, it's fairly broad. Depending on what the product is, on how they would answer that. If it's roofing materials, there are programs or there's a company called ITEL. ITEL is a company used by the insurers that reaches out and finds if the product is still available, and searches also for like, kind, and quality materials to be used. So that kind of on both sides of that.
Cheryl, go ahead.
And I would like to add, something like that, it's best to file a complaint with the rapid response program. Until we have the specifics of the claim and the policy, then, and I'm seeing a question from Sean Geary.
It's Sean, yeah.
Yeah, that needs to, I think those have to be handled on each individual basis. It depends on the claim, the situation, the coverages. So those, I would say in that case, if there's a dispute between a policyholder and the insurer, then that would be a good time or a good occasion when a complaint should be filed through rapid response, so that that can be addressed specifically for that specific loss. I don't think it's something that we can address or offer an opinion on here, because each claim in each situation could be unique.
Thanks, Mary Jo. And so this next question will be for Cheryl, but I just want to mention that is the last question in the chat for me right now. So if you have other questions, please get those in the chat. All right. What if a contractor works in your house and damages some plasterboard, but I don't realize it happened until much after the contractor has left, and I'm not sure that it is related to the construction done on the house? Could homeowners policy cover the replacement of the plasterboard?
In this situation, if the contractor has caused damage to the home, it wouldn't be something under the homeowners. It would be something under back to the contractor. It's going to depend on, I mean, if most contractors or most insurance policies, homeowners insurance policies don't cover workmanship, which, I mean, it's certainly unfortunate that it wasn't recognized until after they left, but your homeowner's policy is not going to cover poor workmanship on a policy.
Thanks, Cheryl. All right, there is another question. So back to you, Mary Jo. I think it would be better if you can look. Do you have the chat open?
I do.
Okay, I think it would be better if you look at it and read it, because there's several questions in there at once. So starting with the words, when it comes to the discovery of, it looks like he has several questions in there all at once. I don't want to get too confusing for you.
Mr. Geary, can I suggest because you've got, I mean, these are kind of specific questions, and they could be specific to to a loss. If there's specific ones, I would.
Mary Jo, this is Joy. With respect to his questions, why don't you either, let's see if there are other questions, and either he can go into a breakout room or contact you or Cheryl after this call. He's got very, very factually specific questions, and we're basically at the end of the time. And
yeah, what's up?
Hello, mate.
Yeah, what's up, bro? How you doing, bro? You good?
Mr. Quirk,
yeah, do you...
Mr. Quirk, I need you to put yourself on mute, please. Okay, and as I was saying, let's go ahead and address Mr. Clary's questions, either in a breakout room or offline, and because there are two additional questions that I want to make sure that these two individuals have an opportunity to speak. So Patty, if you could pick up with Nadine Mort, please.
All right, so back to you, Mary Jo. Is there a time limit for the life? Is there a time limit for the life of the roof to make a claim about a roof leak?
Yes. You do have to report it, and then whether or not, generally roof leaks may or not be covered. in homeowners insurance does not cover a leaky roof unless the leak has been caused by what's called a covered peril, such as wind damage, hail damage. Something is, the wind blows something like a tree over into the roof. So all homeowners policies require anything, again, it's that sudden piece. So if you've got a roof that's been leaking for weeks or months, it's same as that leaky pipe. Even if you were not aware that that roof was leaking, the insurance company comes and they find a lot of rot and mold and deterioration that's not going to be covered. So what is going to be covered with the roof if it's been damaged by one of those perils listed under your policy, and you report it immediately as soon as it happens within a brief period of time? But if it's a leaky roof that's been leaking for weeks or months, it's not going to be covered. That's again, that repeated long-term leak. And if the cause of the leak is because it's worn out, the shingles are worn out, it's a flat roof and it hasn't been serviced or replaced in several years and it's now leaking. Homeowners policies are not maintenance policies, they're peril policies. So they cover perils that cause damage, sudden perils that cause damage to your home that you're able to report quickly after that damage occurs. Does that answer that question?
Hopefully, and Nadine, oh yeah, she said thank you very much. Excellent. All right, so back to you, Cheryl. The next person purchased a home and paid for an inspection. And the question is, does my mortgage, so does the lender have to have their own inspector?
That's going to depend on the lender. That's not going to be an insurance question. I think, to my knowledge, a VA loan would have their own inspection, and most lenders will. But that I don't want to speak too much on that. That's going to be something that's going to be required by each lender individually.
Thank you so much.
Sorry.
Those are all the questions that we have in the chat. You still have a moment if you have anything else to put them in there. But I am getting ready to pass this back to Kiana. We don't see anything else.
I'd say Mr. Geary, I believe, knows how to contact Cheryl. He would like to speak with me. Cheryl can give him my phone number, how to contact me, and we'd be happy to answer any and all of his questions. And he, please, Mr. Geary, give us a call following this event.
And this is Joy again. Joyce or Gia, could you put back up the contact page with the website and the phone number so people will know how to get in touch with us in case they missed that at the beginning?
So if there's no more questions, I'm going to leave it to the chat. If you are interested in speaking to one of the rapid response members one-on-one, that you can put it in the chat and we will place you into breakout rooms. Other than that, I would like to thank everyone for attending. I will be posting a brief survey in the chat box. And if you could please provide some feedback towards the event so that we can make sure that we fix or repair or can do a better job, or if you just appreciate the information, or if there's any topics that you would like us to cover in our next event, that would be helpful as well. Again, I'd like to thank everyone for attending. And if you are interested in being in one of those breakout rooms, please stay on. Thank you.